Hey, everybody, listen up. I got mega huge news. Meat Eater Live is heading back out on the road. That's right. Join me and the crew. Clay Newcomb, Cal, Yanni, Spencer's going to be there. Phil the Engineer's going to be there. Meat Eater Live, headed back out. Now, when you get every ticket, okay, every ticket you buy, you get a signed copy of our new Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook. This tour is celebrating the release of the book. Buy a ticket, get a signed copy, Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook, wild game recipes for the grill, smoker, camp stove, and campfire, which I'll point out is a $38 value. Here's where we're going to go. April 23rd, the Mesa Art Center in Mesa, Arizona. April 24, the Balboa Theater in San Diego. April 25, the Grove in Anaheim, California. April 27, the Crest Theater in Sacramento. April 29, the Union in Salt Lake City. April 30, the Egyptian in Boise. May 1, the Wilma Theater in Missoula. May 2, the Bing Crosby Theater in Spokane, Washington. May 4, Revolution Hall in Portland, Oregon. And May 5, the last day of the tour, Pantages Theater in Tacoma, Washington. For tickets and more information, visit the events page at themeateater.com. Hope to see you at the show.
All right, Woods people, the season is going to be here faster than you can imagine. I know you've all been out there dialing in your archery equipment.
Actually, there's a real world out there, and if you're anything like me and my friends, you've been taking your time getting your bow ready.
We'd never advocate for you being irresponsible, but we understand it's pretty easy to end up really busy this time of year.
Yeah, I've been busy building brownie points.
Does it work?
Yeah, they don't carry over.
Well, we decided to call up some of the experts to get some of their ideas on some of the things that might help you be more successful this season.
That's a good thing, because my 10-yard pin needs a little work.
That doesn't work, I think. All right, on the show today, we've got Jake Major from Cobra Archery. Jake, how was your day, man?
Going pretty good. It's nice and warm out today.
No kidding.
Pretty sunny. Yeah.
My truck says 100 degrees right now in the shade.
Man.
So it's
no, we were 90s, but we weren't that. You guys are in Texas, right?
Yeah, we're in Northeast Texas, so it's hot down here. But heat's relative, no matter where you're at. Like for us, for instance, if we were to go there in the wintertime, we'd probably freeze to death where you're at. So it'd be kind of rough. If I ever get if it ever gets down below the 20s, it's a pretty tough day for me in the woods.
Well, how cold weather do you guys get?
Well, we get that from time to time. I mean, there'll be like one or two cold spells in the winter, probably in December, that it'll be in the teens. I think I saw 9 degrees one time in the past 5 years or something like that. But that's just a little Arctic blast.
Hit and run kind of thing. Yeah,
exactly. In 2 days, it's 55. It's kind of how it goes. But
do you guys ever have a accumulation of snow?
Hardly ever.
Yeah, hardly ever. if you call accumulation like it lasts more than 2 days, then that
everybody's wrecking into each other. You don't have to know about it,
it just takes sleep for that down here. We don't know how to drive. So.
We kind of got an interesting situation where like snow can happen, but the ground's never warm enough to really keep it as snow. It melts off really quick, and then it'll like turn from like 30 during the day to like 16 at night and freeze everything into black ice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's pretty dangerous, actually.
Yeah. I'm sure the auto body shops love it because they got good booze that time of year.
Oh yeah. Then
that and rut. They're whacking deer left and right.
Yeah, that, and then we've got crazy weather patterns in the summer, so we have plenty of auto hail detailing things that pop up, so cars are getting destroyed left and right.
You guys probably get some wicked storms down there, too.
It's crazy.
May?
Yeah,
Oof.
This past year we had like some 70, 80 mile an hour straight line winds that just blew down trees and stuff all over the county.
Lots of tornadoes in our area, too.
That's the only kind of weather that spooks me. Hot doesn't, cold doesn't, rain doesn't. You usually have time to get away from rain if you know what you're doing. But wind, you can't get away from it.
Yeah.
If it's coming, it's coming. That's the only thing that spooks me is wind.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. My wife has talked me into probably doing a storm shelter at our next house. So because I guess under the ground is the one you can be a gopher and get away from wind, I guess.
Right. Now, do you guys have basements?
No, actually. Maybe one out of every 200 houses has a basement down here, just because people probably moved from up north and they're like, we need a basement, But do y'all have where you're at?
Oh yeah. I got a 9.5 foot basement, concrete, 4 walls, man. If the wind hits, we got a spot for it.
Sweet.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And you're in central Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah, we're South Central. We're about 40 minutes north of Harrisburg, right up along the Susquehanna, 10 minutes from the Appalachian Trail. So we're right up here, born and raised on a farm.
How close is that to Hershey?
Hershey's about, I can make it to Hershey in 45, 50 minutes-ish, something like that.
I would be large if I lived in that area. I can tell you that.
Yeah, if you grew up around it, it's like, there's another Hershey Park. You know what I mean? It's
for
they got a
real.
humongous park down there. They got a great park, and it draws a lot of people. I guess they keep adding on, and I guess after this new expansion they're doing, it's going to have the most roller coasters in one park in the country.
Wow.
Man.
Yeah, it keeps growing. It's an enormous park right now. Enormous.
Yeah, well, that's what happens to people that eat chocolate too. So
yeah.
keep growing and get enormous.
It's such a big
Get out
metaphor.
there and walk it off. Yeah, get out there and walk it off. Walk all those calories.
Oh, that's funny. Well, Jake, you've kind of itched out a career for yourself in the archery world. What is it that you do, man?
Well, I don't have an engineering degree. Okay, I was born and raised on a farm. God has blessed me with the ability to do this kind of stuff. A mechanical mind that kind of never stops. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. I've been lucky enough to be bow hunting since I was 14. A close friend of mine, I was just shooting like a lemonwood recurve and stick bow of my dad's for forever when I was a kid, and then my buddy introduced me to a compound bow in October of 83. Yeah, October, I think it was 83. And after that, man, it was lights out. And then, God blessed me with a mechanical mind. And, I've been tinkering and building and doing this kind of mechanical stuff my entire life. I have a stack of sketches that goes back 20, 25 years, the whole way up to now, and, we were blessed enough we had first owned a franchise, and now we have since sold that franchise. In the interim, we had we opened up a sporting goods store, and then we had a sporting goods store, and the reps would come in from time to time. They knew I was, built the way I was mentally, and I was looking for opportunities to grow and opportunities for a challenge, and this is what we got an opportunity, and it is exactly where I'm at. Mentally and our lifestyle and everything. We hunt and fish. That's what we do. You know what I mean? Grew up on a farm. Back in the day, you didn't go buy something. You fixed it. You figured out how it worked, and you got the welder and you fixed it. You didn't, go looking for the part. You didn't scroll through the internet. There was no internet. So you fixed it. You know what I mean? You just figured out how it worked, and eventually you take enough parts off it, you figure out how it works, and you put it back together, and that's, I guess, how I started.
Yeah. Well, I confess, Amazon has kind of made me a softie when it comes to
it's made everybody
mechanic.
soft, man. Don't worry. The only problem is when you take things apart and you put it back together, it's running fine, but you got a couple parts left over. Yeah.
Well, you just kind of throw those out in the driveway and hopefully it disappears. It's just kind of Yeah, that's cool. So what was that first compound that you got introduced to? What kind of bow was that? Do you remember?
Man, my very first bow was a PSC back when they made laminated wood limbs.
Oh, wow.
And it was round wheels, and it was actually when they used coated cable. I was drawing maybe, 42 pounds, something like that. It was back in the day of 55% let off. You thought you were somebody with that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I used to shoot so much. There was a 2-year period when I was 14 and 15 through the winter, January, February, and March, a beach, both those 2 consecutive years. I couldn't feel my index, middle, and ring finger. I lost it because I was shooting the barn in the cold weather all day, every day.
Golly.
You know what I mean? And I lost feeling in like 3 months for 2 years in a row. Yep. And then I eventually switched over to release, and that all went away. But I shot so much, and I had to go talk about it. And I said, "Well, just quit shooting." I'm like, "Yeah, no, it's not going to happen."
Well,
so
I guess
it warmed up and it went away. So
the release business is kind of a passion project then, because you want the feeling in your fingers back. So.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I was building my own releases before we got into Cobra.
Oh, really?
You know, I was shooting my own personal stuff before we got into Cobra.
Yeah.
And when the opportunity came along, you know, we jumped on it. So, you know, it's a work in progress. You know, we had it a little over 2 years now, and we're redoing it from top to bottom, A to Z, everything.
Yeah.
So, you know, just getting after it, just trying to make. I'm just not going to make stuff just to make stuff, you know.
Yeah.
That's not who I am. I want to improve on everything because I'm a blood in the eyes bow hunter like you guys are, and that's all I want to do is go out there and shoot something with my bow. So you spend all those years in the woods, you kind of have an idea what everybody's looking for and what the attributes people want in a release. You know, above all, they want the thing to be reliable, and you want to be built like a tank. You know, you won't ever have to worry about, is my release going to work? You know, that should be the last thing in your mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
You know, you're drawing down on a 170, buddy. You got to have everything to go. You know what I mean? Because trust me, I've screwed up enough myself. I want to make sure all my gear works. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
After this conversation, we might talk about how to get a 170 in front of you so you can draw down on it. You know, that's the next step for me. That's cool, man. It's very neat to think about it. KC was actually Casey and I were talking just, I guess, a week or so ago, and I've been shooting a Cobra for like a dozen years, and I've never thought once about an issue with it. And it's kind of, now that you say it, it is something that is kind of a luxury and something that I've enjoyed as a luxury without probably just with taken for granted, you know. But I don't ever have to think about it, and
that's what you want.
It still shoots fine.
You want the product to be taken for granted.
Yeah,
that's what you want. Then you know you have a good product.
Yeah, that's how I see. I'm a musician, and so that's how we think about drummers. Is like, if you don't ever have to think about your drummer during a show, then that's a great show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you have to think about him, then he's done something a little bit whack. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He went off on his own riff.
That's right. That's right, man. So,
he's playing Wipeout.
Yeah, they will do that from time to
time. And it's cool to hear you say that, you know, about a product that works. When we live in, you know, if you want to talk about like the archery industry, it's driven by the ATA show, right? Everybody wants something new and shiny to look at ATA show so they can sell their old one they bought last year and buy the new one, right? But, you know, you're talking about building releases that are going to last decades. So, you know, it's kind of countercultural.
Yeah. You know, I always look for something I can rely on, you know, and I always like to get a product that I know is always going to work. So I absolutely kill myself to make sure this thing is going to be solid and always perform, you know. So I go to the nth degree, and everybody that's around me that can be around me while I'm in my design mode knows that I go over the top, you know, and try and think of every conceivable possible issue that could possibly go wrong and try and design that, you know, out.
Yeah.
So
what are some of the like top things that you consider to make a bulletproof release?
Well, you want it to have as minimal parts as possible. You know, you get all these sophisticated parts, that's more to go wrong. Then you got all these different tolerances that stack up, and then if you're off by a couple here or there, then it's problematic. You know, you want to use good materials. You want to have good anodized coatings on them. You want to make sure that you're matching materials that wear well together. You know, just all kinds of different stuff like that. So you drop it in the mud and you're okay. You know, if you just hit it with the air hose afterwards, you're okay. You don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. You know, time to time, you always want to have some kind of preventive maintenance on anything. If it's moving, there's wear, but you try and, you know, like some of the stuff I know I've had many machinists go, Jake, this is, you don't need to go to this kind of Rockwell rating for your hardness of your parts. I'm like, yeah. He said, listen, if you go with standard hardness, you'll be fine. I'm like, no, I want to crank it up. So we have Rockwell hardness of 50 and 60 on our internal parts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to wear. Yeah. You know, it's going to wear really, really well. It's going to withstand everything. So, it's not going to fall apart on you.
Yeah, that's cool. So what was the thing that, you know, you said you were designing some releases and stuff back in the day before you really got involved with Cobra. What was the thing that led you to kind of make your own? Like, was there like a moment that's like, you know, I need to make something better?
Well, yeah. There was a couple of things I wish I could have, like for example, we have a product out now called the Accomplice. It's basically what I call a draw assist. You use your hand and your thumb to it's a double caliper index finger release, but it's a handheld with a thumb. And I made that thing 14, 15 years ago, something like that. And I used it. I had it on the workbench forever, and it worked well. And what it does, because you can get a lot of power out of your thumb. If you grip with your thumb, you can really get a lot of power out of that. So if you just have your thumb involved in the process, man, you can really draw down easily. So I was using that because when I was younger, I wasn't all that strong, and strength was always not my strong point, so to speak, because I was always 125 pounds and graduated high school. So I was I looked like I had worms. It's just I was just a scrawny guy. So I was always looking for an advantage to try and get that bow back in the heat of the moment. And sometimes when I was a punk kid, kind of lock up and it's like I couldn't get my bow back.
Yeah.
So I was always looking for that advantage. So I made that and a couple other things, and I was shooting my own stuff for a while.
Yeah.
And I had noticed no one had really made those to any kind of notoriety. So that's the kind of stuff. But, since the onset of Cobra, since we bought it in July of 17, I've filed 15 patents.
Wow.
15.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're like the Steve Jobs of release aids, man. He's got them stacked up for years.
Yeah.
Listen, I just like to bow hunt, and God's gave me the talent to design this stuff. It
Sure.
ain't my talent; it's His talent. So,
Yeah.
So
are you still shooting? Are you still shooting the handheld, or what are you looking for now? Is it different? Change?
Well, I'll say this right now: I am shooting the Switch, which is our 2019 product, but I am shooting a 2020 item now.
Wow.
So sneaky.
Yeah, sneaky. Yeah. So I'm shooting that now. So,
Yeah. Can you tell us anything about the premise behind that product?
Absolutely not.
Well,
absolutely not.
well-
I will tell you this: there's some features on it that have never been seen before.
Cool.
That
cool.
are, I believe, in my opinion, that's just me, Jake, talking about my stuff, are phenomenal. It's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
So let the audience, make their own judgment.
Yeah.
So
Does
I don't
it-
want to oversell it, but we got some good stuff coming.
Sure. So, is there in regards to it? Can you talk about what it helps as far as making a good shot? Like what little attributes are you gaining with your new product? So, in other words, what are you looking to gain on what you consider to be kind of the average 2019 release market?
Well, there's a couple features in this one. It lines your shot up.
Okay.
There's a couple features on there that help you align your shot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you can as little torque as you can put into shooting,
Sure.
the more accurate you're going to be. Just like anything else, if you can line up that shot, elbow right down to your wrist to the knock to the point of the arrow, if they can be in as much alignment and as little torque as possible, consistently, you're going to be more accurate. So anything we can do to help that process and make you more accurate, that's what we try and drive to do. So I got one of those features in there, and we have some other features in it in one of our releases we're coming out with that makes life easier.
We all like
that. Than a standard release. So
Yeah.
and we got some stuff coming that's never been seen before.
Cool.
It's gonna. Well, I'll leave it at that. It's gonna be good. I'm excited to show people.
Okay.
Yeah. Master of illusion
Yeah.
here. We got it
Yeah,
going on.
no, I don't mean to bait anybody. I'm not
No.
trying to oversell, but I'm
Sure.
just saying I'm really anxious to show folks. Like I'm happy.
So let's get down to kind of what you've got right now that we can see and look at. Why offerings with single caliber and dual caliber? What are those? What's the difference there? Is it preference, and why is it preference? If so,
Well, it is a little bit preference. And some guys Well, the hook example. We have a release called the Moment.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Breaks really clean. I always tease my wife. I said it breaks cleaner than an old woman's hip. It just breaks like nothing, man. But it still dress your D loop really quick. The spot and stalk, stuff like that. You don't have to look down. You can take your thumb and just put it and pinch your hook right through the D loop. You don't have to look down. It's a dress. A single caliper and double caliper. You got to look down. You got to clip it on. The double caliper, I feel the double caliper is more of a sense of security for folks. Whenever they have a double caliper on, they see it drop on, they push it forward. It's good for beginners. It's good for anybody, and I don't mean to downplay that. There's lots of very experienced bow hunters out there that like double caliper, and that's great. I shot one for a very long time. So, but the double calipers has a center release. You know what I mean? Because usually whenever you have a hook, it spins, and then a single caliper, it drops off the edge. Mm-hmm. But a double caliper, it comes off the center, lines your shot up off the center of the calipers. Whenever we bought the company, I took their design, and I really didn't like it, so I redid it. So we have new calipers for all of our double calipers, and it centers a shot and minimizes D-loop wear. And again, you do get some D-loop wear with double and single calipers. Usually hooks you don't, If you're going to have something, any kind of friction is eventually going to cause some kind of wear, especially if it's a fabric material, Mm-hmm. Even if you got the smooth, it's going to eventually have some kind of wear. It just will. There's no way around it. Mm-hmm. But a hook kind of eliminates that issue because it just spins. Just spins right out of the way. So you don't have any, hard friction when it's trying to squeeze between 2 points. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you don't really have any tight rubs, that kind of thing.
Last season, I've shot with a dual caliper for a couple years, and I was in Colorado and had a bull elk run from about 80 to 15 real fast, and I was about to shake out of my pants, so it was real hard to get that dual caliper through that D-loop at that moment.
Yeah, exactly.
And ever since then, I've been looking at those little hook types and thinking, man, maybe that's what I ought to be looking at.
Yeah, I'm telling you, because when you're rattled, and it's funny because, when you get rattled like that, it's almost like your brain just locks up, and then when it all settles down, it's like, why wasn't I thinking right?
Yeah.
You know that? You ever notice that? Thank the good Lord that, I've luckily outgrown that, but no one's immune to it ever. Mm-hmm. No one's ever immune to that. You're always going to fight that. But man, when I was a punk kid, I would get rattled and get so jacked up just with a doe coming by. I would do that kind of stuff. I'm like, what am I doing? She walks off. I settle down and draw my bow and nice and calm. Like, what are you doing, you goof? You absolute goof. You could have killed her, and now you're shaking like crazy. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Just on a doe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's nuts, man. So, why do you think that people kind of are all so different when it comes to picking some type of a release? Like, why do some people want to do the handheld versus wrist strap and that sort of thing?
It's personal preference. Some guys like it for control. Some guys like it because they can just grab the bow and grab their handheld, and just the ease of the power you can put in your hand versus coming off your wrist. If you draw your bow properly in a handheld, I feel it's dramatically easier. But that that's just me. Mm-hmm. Some guys are like, no way, I can't. I feel like it's going to fly out of my hand. Mm-hmm. There's no way I can do it because I just feel like it's going to fly out of my hand, and it makes me over grip and torque, and then I get back and I'm just like gripping this thing like a silverback. You just grabbing a hold of this thing, and you're trying to grab it, and a lot of guys, they struggle with the right grip. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They try and knuckle up with this thing, but the wrist strap, you never have to worry about it. It's there. It's not coming off, and you can relax and come back, And, I shot a wrist strap for, 30-ish years, something like that, And, it was always there. The beauty of the handheld, so you can hang it on your D-loop when you're hunting, and you can put your hands in your pockets. I can't tell you how many times I've froze to the tree just because my right hand got cold, holding on my release, and then it makes your whole body cold. You know what I mean? It creeps up your elbow and then your shoulder, and then for too long you're shivering. Or if it sticks outside your pocket, your jacket, then it gets ice cold, and you grab a hold and it's 12-degree release. And man, then you go grab your bow and you're freezing. But it's personal preference. It really is. Everybody has their own style they like to shoot. It's typically what makes them the most confident. I don't care what you shoot as long as you feel the most confident doing whatever style works the best. That's what you should go with. If it's fingers, you go with fingers. Whatever it is, whatever's going to make you go out in the woods and make you more confident, that's the style you shoot.
Mm-hmm.
There's not one better than the other. It's just what's going to make you most confident.
Right. Is there a preference when it comes to like target shooters versus hunters in release?
Well, yeah. I mean, the majority of your target guys are hinge or thumb, or back tension pull through style.
Mm-hmm. Can you talk about those a little bit? What the differences and the different types of releases are for those who may not know?
Well, yeah. I mean, the hinge style is basically it's a handheld release that releases the arrow as you twist the angle of the handle. If you rotate the angle of the handle, it opens up the jaw. The trigger mechanism will eventually open the jaw and release it. It is to eliminate and help control target panic and help have a smooth, surprised release. Okay, that's the gist of that. And it makes sense, and it works. Mm-hmm. The one thing I don't understand, and a lot of guys do it, and they do it, they have what's called a click inside those hinge releases. Small click. It's right at the end of where it's going to release off the caliper, off the hook. It's a little snap. There's a little depression in the metal that jumps down a level before it lets go. So that lets you know it's getting ready to go. So you can go back easy, so slowly twisting your wrist or changing the position of your fingers. One will pull more than the other. You just let it rotating your index, and it goes off. But you can hear a little snap, and it's coming then.
Yeah.
So it helps people sometimes, and sometimes it makes people worse. Mm-hmm. I prefer a hinge that has no noise. I just do. It's I shoot better with that. But then you have a true back tension, which you draw and you settle in, and then as you bring your shoulder blades together and kind of rotate your shoulder back a little bit, hitting the back wall and building pressure on your D-loop, there's a spring mechanism inside that makes it release after a certain amount of pressure. So, and you have a safety, but you hold them, you get back and stuff, and they work fine too, And then the thumb release is basically it's a handheld, and then you can either it's a single caliper, your hooks typically they're hook. Ours is a single caliper. You clip them on, and you draw back, and you use your thumb to hit the trigger. So they're all good, they all work, and they all serve their own purpose. Mm-hmm. And there's hybrids of all of them.
So which of those should folks actually consider to hunt with?
I would, definitely, if anybody's going to hunt with any kind of handheld, you're definitely going to want to go with the thumb first. To do the hinge, I know guys do it. Mm-hmm. God bless them. They're better than I am. But, I could never do it with a hinge, just the sheer fact of it's an animal you're trying to kill.
Yeah.
Mm. You have no idea what that animal is going to do at any given point. I don't want to sit there and go, yeah, he's going to sit there for another 4 or 5 seconds. I want to be able to control when I let the arrow go.
Yes.
The whole purpose of the hinge is a surprise release. Mm-hmm. Well, I want it to be a surprise to him, not to me.
Yeah.
So, I go with a thumb.
I'm so glad you said that because, man, everything I take in media-wise, everybody's talking about the surprise release nowadays, and I get it if you're trying to, put holes in paper and you're trying.
Right, exactly. If you have all day and the target's not moving.
Yeah, but this is a real-world scenario, and we're talking about taking the life of something. Like, I need to know exactly when that thing's going to go off, right?
Yeah, so, I don't care if you're trying to peel a chipmunk off a log or you're trying to shoot a monster elk. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. You want to know when that thing's going to go. You want to be able to time it just right because, the tempo of a deer the personality of a deer, what they're doing, what they're looking at. You know about how much time you have.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I mean, typically you have more time than what you think, but everybody has that feel if they've been doing it long enough, how much time you have. And I don't want to have to go, man, I wish I had another 2-3 seconds.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
What I mean? You know what I mean? So that's why I would suggest, if you're going to go with a handheld, I would go with a thumb.
So,
Absolutely.
Earlier you talked about the thumb having a lot of strength to it, but usually there's a kind of an inverse quality there where the more strength something has, the less control it has. And I would think, I mean, we do, as humans, we do everything with our index finger, right? Like, you scroll down your phone, whatever.
Right.
So is there something to the way a thumb release is designed to where it kind of uses that strength of your thumb to where it can still be pretty sensitive?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Some guys like to take the actual trigger of the thumb release and tuck it into the palm, like into the muscle of your thumb, and they just squeeze the release together.
I got you.
Mm-hmm.
And some guys like to put it the way out the end of the thumb and just pluck on the end of it. You know what I mean? It varies depending, but that comes down to what makes you feel most comfortable. You know, myself, when I hunt, I simplify. You know, everything from A to Z. I simplify my hunting as much as humanly possible to take out all the errors possible. You know what I mean? If I can simplify the way I hunt, the way I shoot, the way I shoot my release, if I can do that without thinking, then you're going to be much more successful. So if you simplify what you carry in the woods, you simplify everything, there's less to go wrong.
So aside from the calipers and the hooks and all that, there's another thing to choose from when it comes to the details of a release that I've noticed that Casey and I typically differ on this. But I don't know the terminology very well, so excuse this. But like there are releases that are stiff and kind of longer, and some that are short and flimsy, or just flimsy in general. Maybe not short necessarily, but what are the advantages of each one of those?
Well, you know, the advantages of you have it like a hard post connection. What I call a post connection, it sticks out from your strap. You release, you know, your release is always straight out. You know, or you have what you can use a lanyard or what's called a webbing connection. It's the nylon webbing that's used. You know, that's personal preference. I would say the majority of the people like what we call now termed foldback. So, you know, we developed our own this year. We have a triple, we call a triple joint foldback. It's 3 positions. It's forward, middle, and reverse. And that allows you to put it out of the way, climbing the stand, the snap, doing all kinds of stuff. You pull out your grunt tube, you can bump a whitetail, whatever. You get your binoculars, and you look around. It's out of your way. Some guys like the lanyard or webbing connection just because it basically eliminates any kind of torque that you may put on that string or in your D-loop or kind of cant your bow to a degree, because there's not a hard connection right from your wrist to your bow. So you can kind of, your wrist can be in a different position, but still remain relatively accurate. You know, there again, it comes down to personal preference. You know, the overwhelming majority of our folks that we sell to, our new triple joint that we have, it has a middle position. It's not a forward and back. It's a middle position. So you can have it in the middle position, right? And you're doing your things hands-free. Get your grunt tube, do this, do that, whatever, binoculars. And it doesn't take your second hand to put it in the forward position. All you do is, because it's sticking straight out of the 90, you just brush it against your ribs, you know, your thigh, whatever, and it jumps into the forward position. So you can do it one-handed. Gotcha. So if you grab your grunt tube and you see a whitetail, you bump him, you put it back in your pocket wherever you stick it, and while you're holding your bow with your, you know, bow hand, you can just drop that release right into your hand without having to grab it and flick it in. So that's why we did it that way. So, and it's pretty snappy, works really well. It's built like a tank.
Sweet. Yeah, cool. That seems to be kind of like a motif of what you usually go for in releases, is something built like a tank. And something that's always been an issue for me, and about anything I ever use, is just kind of the weatherproofing, or maybe not weather, but like dust and dirt and junk like that. Because, you know, sitting in a tree stand's one thing, and you just still have to deal with like things freezing up and sometimes. And then if we're doing some spot and stalk stuff, in the West somewhere, you're crawling around on your hands and knees, or you're spotting hogs down here, you're in the mud. There's a lot of issues with that. How do you make a release that truly is, I guess, weatherproof in those aspects?
Well, if you can get as little as parts as possible in it, that's going to help you out.
Yeah.
It just will. Now if you're crawling through sand, muddy sand, ooh man, I don't know if anybody's gonna be able to help you with that one. You know what I mean? There's a part where you got to go, ooh, that's enough. You know what I mean? There's only so much you can tolerate.
Yeah.
But if you can keep things where you can get to it, then say you do get in the mud and you got some stones in there, or got some sand in there, grinding and binding everything up. Because if you have tight tolerances and you get stuff in there, but you want to be able to have it so you can get to it, rinse it, hit it with a air gun or something or other, and blow the air out of it and blow the water out of it, and you're back to normal. But that if you try and be able to get to the parts, then you at least you can see what's going on too. So there's an openness that you want to see to them too.
Yeah. I got you.
Like our single jaw, man. There's nothing you can't see on that thing. Same with our hook. There ain't nothing you can't see on that thing.
I can see.
There's something. Yeah. So if you drop in the mud, you'll be able to see any kind of mud that's on it, because you can look all through it.
I can see too where a handheld would come in handy in a situation like that, where you're just like, well, I'm just going to stick it in my pocket at this point in time. Make sure you get a zipper or something, to make sure you don't lose it. But in that scenario, having the ability to just do away with the release completely until it comes down to the moment of truth is probably pretty advantageous.
Yeah.
And speaking of losing one possibly, do you ever carry extra releases on your hunt, or is that just something you're kind of like, I'll risk it?
I've never carried a spare release. I don't even own a spare release.
Okay.
And I know I am one of the very, 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 very few. I don't know of anybody that doesn't have two. I'm the only one.
Well, I'm with you on that, sir. So I try and minimize. All my buddies, they make fun of me all the time, every year, because you guys carry a backpack into the woods. Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Really?
No, absolutely never have. Never will.
Really?
Nope. No, absolutely not.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So
I don't carry any of that stuff. I don't take any food. I don't take any drink. Nothing.
You're hard, man. Goodness.
Yeah. I don't even take a knife. All I have when I leave to go into the woods is I have a flashlight, pocket watch, my cover scent, and my grunt tube. And I don't even carry binoculars. I carry a Zeiss monocular.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, you got cargo pants or something?
No, I mean, no. It's just they're so small, because this is going to drive you crazy too. My flashlight, I leave at the bottom of the tree stand. I don't even take it up in the trees with me. So all I got up in there is my grunt tube, and I leave my cover scent at the base of the tree too. So my monocular and grunt tube is about all I have with me. That's it.
It's interesting, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I totally, I guess I subscribe to a pretty simple theory usually as well. Not quite that simple, but I think of it this way, and I've been talking to Casey about this a lot, because we are going on a wilderness backpack elk hunt this year.
Well, that's a little different program.
Sure. But I guess my point here is that I've had to buy quite a bit of gear to kind of prepare for that, and so as Casey, and we got a video. I killed a buck a couple years ago, a really nice buck on some public land, and I had a comment recently on it that was referred to the fact that I was wearing a Sika gear top, and I had a 12-year-old bow. And I this kind of I'm coming around to this, I guess, but I've talked to KC a lot about this. If you had to back up everything and upgraded all your systems every year, I mean, you've got to be making well above what people normally make, blue collar hunters do. So
you don't have to have all the fancy stuff. You don't got to have a new bow every year. You don't have to do all that stuff. You got to have what makes you confident.
Sure, yeah, and I mean, if you were to try to carry, if you were spending $50 on a release or whatever it might be, and then you wanted, I need 2 of those in case one goes awry, then you've got if you can subscribe to that method, and you think about all the things that you might carry or you might hunt with, you could really start to add up.
Oh yeah, you got 2 of everything. Good night, I'd be broke.
Yeah, and you have a retail store in the stand with you. It's
yeah, exactly. Yeah, my buddies they go in with a backpack. I said, man, you hit a snowdrift on the way home. You're good for a month. Whatever you got packed in that thing. They're it's crazy.
Yeah.
But that makes them confident, and that's cool.
Sure.
I try and minimize my scent, so I want to have as little fabric with me as possible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the less fabric of other stuff I got going on, the less likely. If you can pick up 1%, 1% of an opportunity.
Yeah.
And you do that 10 or 15 times, but you just change the odds really good in your favor.
Yeah.
Right.
So just a little tiny thing. I'll go to the nth degree to get a 1%.
Yeah.
Nth degree.
Those little things add up too when it's
Absolutely.
Several of them, and you've kind of got skins on the wall to prove that you're not just crazy and just an archery guy. You know what I mean?
It's I've been blessed. I find them dumb ones. It's okay.
It's all good, man. I mean, sometimes hunting the dumb ones is a lot more fun than hunting the smart ones.
Yeah, it's much easier. It's much easier. So I hunt here in PA, and if you can kill a good buck every year in Pennsylvania, you're getting it done.
Yeah.
It's just these deer they're difficult to hunt. Now they do get stupid. I'm not gonna lie to you, they get a little stupid there in November.
Mm-hmm.
So that happens. And but honestly, I try and kill my buck before that because I'm out west that time of year.
Mm-hmm.
I've been blessed to be able to go out west for a number of years now. So I go out there to a spot we have, special spot out there. We go to hunt, and so it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I enjoy it. I love it. From the days of shooting chickens in the barn. You know what I mean? When I was a kid, I tried to put an arrow through absolutely everything. I mean, everything. Everything. We were shooting pigeons and chickens and groundhogs, and I shot a clubfoot goose one year. He couldn't fly. I got him.
That's rough, man. Goodness, man. I had my wife has been talking about getting chickens lately, and she was like, "Do you think you could, wring one's neck? Just pick it up and wring its neck?" And I've done that with birds or whatever that I've shot, whatever. But I was like, I'll just buy a guillotine broadhead and shoot that sucker. And she's like, "No, we're not doing that."
Off, you don't want to traumatize the kids too much. They're fluffy or milky or whatever they cluck or whatever chicken's name is. You tore his head off. That's not so good.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
That's funny, man.
Yeah, but I was always hunting stuff. And you learn. And I probably lost when I was a kid probably a dozen arrows down a groundhog hole. So I figured out don't shoot them with a field point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did the same thing with armadillos around here. Growing up, I love to shoot armadillos because they popped. Pow, pow. And then, if you don't put him down with the first arrow, he's going in a hole and your arrow's toast.
Yeah.
I mean, broke off.
And they're tough.
Yeah, they were real tough. But luckily the statute of limitations are worn out on most of the things I killed when I was a little kid. So I think the first thing I ever killed was a Tweety bird or a red bird. So you just kind of get that when you're a little kid, but it teaches you a lot. I mean, I learned a ton about stalking and stuff, because of stuff like that. Yeah,
just go out and hunt squirrels with a 22.
Yeah,
make you a good hunter because you're going to see stuff in the woods that you normally wouldn't see, or you're going to have animals come up on you. You get to learn from them. You know what I mean? Starting out young and just you don't gotta go straight to deer. I mean, I didn't go straight to deer. I was a mad squirrel hunter when I was in school too. And squirrels will teach you a lot.
Yeah.
Teach you a lot.
I guess my last question here is was there ever a time that you were a kid but you weren't a punk kid?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
I was always a punk.
Okay.
Always. Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure.
I matured late.
Okay.
So, but I'm here now. God's got me here, so I'm thankful for that.
Yeah.
I got a wife and 2 great boys, and there's nothing better that we'll do than have kids.
That's awesome, man. That's
the greatest thing on the planet. No matter what I do with the rest of my life, my greatest achievement will be raising children.
Yeah. That's awesome, brother. How old are your kids?
9 and 11.
9 and 11. That's fun ages, man.
Yeah, 2 boys. You know, we got the farm there, and we got a stream that goes through the yard. We got a pond in the yard. I mean, there isn't anything we can't get into.
It's cool.
And, we were out in the river over the weekend catching bass and catfish, and, that's just, it's good stuff. It's funny because they're 9-11, and they have not hunted deer yet.
Really?
Really?
Nope, they have not hunted deer yet. I take them with me.
Yeah.
I'm kind of Miyagiing them, so to speak. They know how to.
Yep.
They know how to do a food plot great. They know how to find and hang a stand and what to look for. They know deer sign really well. They know body language really well on a whitetail. All that stuff. The foundation of hunting. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't know. Just I want them to come say, Dad, I want to carry the rifle, or Dad, I want to carry the bow. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to push that on them. You want to absolutely. I'll teach you everything I possibly can. But in the meantime, we do food plots together. It's one of the funnest things we do. We always end up in a great big seed battle at the end. You know what I mean? It's fun. We go check trail cameras together and put out minerals together and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. We built a bunker last August. It's an 8x8, 66 untreated locust railroad ties we built into the bank. We call it a bunker because it's buried down in the ground. Uh-huh. Only half is sticking out, and the top's covered with dirt. So it's vined over, and it's just a hole in the side of the bank. We put rubber over top before we buried it, and you can drive over with the tractor because it's all locust railroad ties, and it's 8x8 inside. So we got a picnic table in there. We got chairs hanging on the wall. We got water stashed in there. So we all Melissa and the boys, we all climb in there together. And I don't care if we don't shoot anything. Mm-hmm. I really don't. They get to see some deer up close. Now, last year, my Elias, our youngest one, was giving me the devil because Jay's like, Dad, when are you going to shoot one? You drew 8 times now. You didn't shoot one. I'm like, easy, man. I want to make sure it's just right for you guys. I want to gut shoot one and make it a horrible experience.
Yeah. Exactly. And you got to practice with that new release you designed too, right? Exactly, so you got to pull it back a lot.
This is R&D we're working on here. It's R&D. Come on. Yeah. You got a break. Come on.
That's right, man. Hey, Jake, it's been awesome, dude. Good talking to you. And
you too.
If we want to send some folks to Cobra to check out what y'all have, where should we send them?
CobraArchery.com.
Okay.
All of our stuff's on there, and stay tuned. We got some incredible stuff coming, and sky's the limit for us.
Yeah, for sure, man. And it's cool because I believe you when you say that because you're an enthusiastic dude who's gonna get some things done. So.
Yeah, that's our intent.
Yeah, I appreciate your time, man. What's the hunt you're looking forward to the most this year?
Well, I'm going to go out west hunting.
Yeah.
And we're going to be hunting some big whitetail. But my most favorite hunt I'm looking forward to is climbing into the bunker with the boys and Melissa.
That's cool.
Yeah. We'll probably go out the first day of archery in the evening because it's an evening spot to come down off the mountain and into the food plot. That's what I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah.
Those evenings I get to climbing in the, of course, we're not too scent free there. They're eating Cheerios and Oreos and drinking milk and orange juice. And they got Sharpies they're writing on the inside of the wall. They go, well, I hope we're downwind.
Yeah, exactly. Make sure the wind's right.
Yeah, but it's good stuff. That's the best right there. That's the absolute best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool, man. That sounds like a ton of fun. Well,
yeah.
Again, Jake, thanks so much for spending some time with us, man. We really appreciate you answering all these questions, and good luck this season, dude.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thanks. You too, guys, and keep us posted. Let me know how you make it out.
Yeah, we will, man. Thanks.
All right, take care.
Understanding this stuff is really something I feel like can take my archery game to the next level.
Absolutely, man. Guys, make sure you go subscribe to the podcast, leave us a review, and remember, this is your element.
Live in it.
Hey everybody, listen up. I got mega huge news. Meat Eater Live is heading back out on the road. That's right. Join me and the crew. Clay Newcomb, Cal, Yanni, Spencer's going to be there. Phil the engineer's going to be there. Meat Eater Live headed back out. Now, when you get every ticket, okay? Every ticket you buy, you get a signed copy of our new Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook. This tour is celebrating the release of the book. Buy a ticket, get a signed copy, Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook, wild game recipes for the grill, smoker, camp stove, and campfire, which I'll point out is a $38 value. Here's where we're going to go. April 23rd, the Mesa Art Center in Mesa, Arizona. April 24, the Balboa Theater in San Diego. April 25, the Grove in Anaheim, California. April 27, the Crest Theater in Sacramento. April 29, the Union in Salt Lake City. April 30, the Egyptian in Boise. May 1, the Wilma Theater in Missoula. May 2, the Bing Crosby Theater in Spokane, Washington. May 4, Revolution Hall in Portland, Oregon. And May 5, the last day of the tour, Pantages Theater in Tacoma, Washington. For tickets and more information, visit the events page at themeateater.com. Hope to see you at the show.